Hey, what's up, universe? It is 12:29 p.m. on Friday, July 21st, 2023. So just real quick, this morning I was checking out, my LinkedIn, and I happened to be on LinkedIn when a recruiter hit me up, messaged me about a potential role here in Kansas City, and I was like, okay, I'll check this out because it came to me. So I sent the recruiter my resume. She took a look at it. She called me, and we just got off the phone a few minutes ago. What's interesting is that this role is at the company that my buddy that I went to go see a little over a month ago, right? If you've been following me, the day that I went to go see a friend who lives on a lake, and we went on a boat ride, he had mentioned to me too, he's like, hey, go take a look. If you find anything out there, let me know, and I'll see if I can help you out. And I did that, back at that time. And so when this woman's like, hey, this role is at, this company, in my mind, I was like, okay, because I'd already checked out that company, felt into it, and didn't feel in alignment. And so I continued to let her speak, and she was asking me some questions about my experience, for the role. And there was already a couple of things about the requirements that I was like, yeah, I don't have that. There was a couple of things coming up where I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work, The primary thing is when she got to, the salary, right, down to the brass tacks. And, I let her know my salary requirement, and she's like, how much would that be per hour since it's a contract to hire? So I gave her the number per hour, and she was like, the highest we can go on this is, is a certain number, which is less than what I was making before. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. I was like, I have a requirement, for that. And she's like, okay. And my main thing is I wasn't being flippant. It wasn't coming from a place of ego. It was just like, that's not going to work because energetically and where I'm at internally. And I was checking in with myself as I'm going through this entire conversation about who am I being in this world and how am I feeling? And to me, it's not about like an ego sense of cash. It's just literally how do I value myself? And I have spent the first 44 years of my life completely undervaluing myself. And that doesn't work for me anymore. And so even though I literally right now have $0, I have $0. I'm not going to allow that to impact how I see my value or how I even internally feel about my value. So that was basically the end of the conversation. She's like, okay. She's like, well, if anything comes up, that fits your requirements, then we'll let you know. And I was like, I appreciate that. So thank you. But it was just an interesting kind of experience, because last night I was listening to a woman that I listen to from time to time. I actually haven't listened to her in a while. She has a YouTube channel, and it is astrological related. Specifically, I wanted to know about the new moon that happened a few days ago. And I won't get into the details as to why, but there was a reason I was looking to visit that, because I didn't listen to that episode. Again, like I said, I haven't listened to her in a long time. So just yesterday I listened to a couple of things, and that was one of them. And as I'm going through this interview, there was just something that struck me from that podcast about basically making choices, about going back to like the devil, so to speak, versus, going on a new path. And for me, this whole thing has always been about going through the discomfort and choosing the new path. So that's what I'm on. And so that's what I'm going to choose. And so it's just kind of interesting to me how that just seems to correlate and resonate. And to me, it's just indicative of, just synchronistic messages that are part of the journey. And if I have the eyes to see and the ears to listen, then I can receive these things. And as I receive them, the way that I allow myself to be navigated is to check in with how these inputs, these things that I'm receiving, how they resonate inside of me. How does it feel inside of me? And then based upon that, I choose the direction that I'm gonna go. I allow that to dictate my choice. And it was funny during the interview too. She was like, so the last role, she's like, you left, like, why, what was the reason, what did the contract end, like whatever. And I told her, I was like, this is how I live my life. I was like, if something does not feel in alignment with me, I'm going to look to change that. I was like, so in my last role, there was just things about that. There was a group within the organization that I decided I was no longer going to support because it was out of alignment with me, just energetically. And that's why I left. And again, like I've said before, a lot of times when I've told people that I make my choices based on feeling, that's not enough for them. And that's okay. I can absolutely appreciate that. That's been part of the kind of some of the isolation that I've felt as I've lived my life, is because a lot of times that feels very alienating, or it's underwhelming for some people. The feeling isn't justification enough, which is kind of funny, because there's a lot of times in our lives where we're like, yeah, I knew it wasn't right. I felt it, but there's always the but. And it's like, yeah, I've worked a long time to remove that but from my life and just be like, yeah, it didn't feel right. And I chose something different, you know what I mean? And that's an important distinction for me as well, linguistically. If you read my material and you listen to my words, I do use the word but. However, I really work to remove that from my vocabulary and substitute the word and. Because most of the time, whatever I said before is true, and what I'm saying next is also true. And the word but usually negates that first part. And so I really work to be conscious about my language. So that's what's going on for right now. That's the current update. All right. Well, as always, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for our relationship and connection. Thank you for giving me some time and space. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.